Oliver Quinn is dead. Everyone believes it. And right now, somewhere in the city, a man in a green hood is walking the streets, hunting down the richest people on the planet, one arrow at a time. The question isn't who's next. The question is who the hell is pulling that bowstring, and why every single clue keeps leading back to a man who's supposedly already in the ground. Welcome to the Absolute Universe, DC Comics' alternate reality where everything you thought you knew about these heroes gets flipped upside down. If Absolute Batman stripped Bruce Wayne of his billions and turned him into a working-class outsider, Absolute Green Arrow does the exact opposite. Here, Oliver Quinn is part of the very 1% he always despised in the mainstream universe. He's not the guy fighting corporate greed from the outside, he is corporate greed. And that single flip changes everything about how this story hits. Except he's dead, killed under mysterious circumstances before this story even begins. And now someone is using his image, the green hood, the bow, the signature arrows, to hunt down untouchable billionaires that society considers above the law. The series launched in May 2026, written by Pornsock Pitcheshot and drawn by Rafael Albuquerque, and it did numbers nobody expected. Over 300,000 issues pre-ordered, generating more than $1 million in pre-sales before a single copy hit the shelves, actually outselling Absolute Batman's launch. And you can feel why from the very first pages. This isn't a superhero comic. This is a full-blown detective horror story, and it reads like one. The book opens with a scene that sets the tone immediately. A tech billionaire named Jubal Slade is sitting with a glass of wine, gloating over Oliver Quinn's death, laughing along with the rest of the ultra-rich about how the world is better off without him. Minutes later, his security detail drops dead, green arrows through every one of them. Slade runs through his own mansion in a panic and finds a room full of dead bodyguards waiting for him. This isn't a random killing. This is a message. And the killer isn't hiding. He's hunting in the open, one name at a time, working through a list. At the center of the investigation is Dinah Lance. In this universe, she isn't a superhero. She's an executive protection specialist known professionally as Absolute Black Canary, the person the wealthy hire when they're afraid for their lives. She's brought in specifically because of her history. Her late father was on the force, and the detective assigned to help her, an old family friend named Jack, still treats her like family, even though her own father wants nothing to do with him. That relationship matters because it tells you who Dinah is before the plot even gets going. She grew up believing her mother's betrayal meant the world was complicated. She grew up to believe the opposite, that the world is actually simple, it's just hard. Survival means being harder than the world around you. And that mindset is exactly what she brings into this investigation. Cold, methodical, and completely unwilling to be lied to. So that's where the real detective work begins. Dinah starts working her way down a list. Every archer historically connected to Oliver Quinn becomes a person of interest. Every one of them has a motive. Every one of them is hiding something. And the deeper she digs, the less any of it makes sense. Along the way, a disturbing detail surfaces. Someone has been stealing bodies, including the body of a teenage boy found earlier at Queen's old headquarters, a corpse that was covered in human eyeballs, hinting at something far darker and far stranger than simple revenge. Whatever's happening here goes way beyond one man with a bow and a grudge. Before Dinah can even get to her first real suspect, we get a flashback to the actual attack on Slade's penthouse, because Slade had been hiding out ever since the killing started. And Dinah's team, led by a fixer named Malcolm, decides to use him as bait. They set up a trap. It works exactly as planned, except the man they caught in the penthouse turns out to be a decoy, an actor. The real killer had hacked Hammond's own security network to figure out the trap in advance, planted explosives in a window, and escaped the second things went sideways. He wasn't caught off guard. He was always one step ahead. That escape leads to one of the most unsettling moments in the whole issue. Security teams have the killer boxed in on a rooftop, guns raised, nowhere left to run. He doesn't surrender, he goes through them. But what happens after is the part that really sticks. He jumps down to street level, runs into a couple of ordinary bystanders, and instead of running from him, they help him get away. Regular people choosing to protect the serial killer over cooperating with Billionaire's private security. When Dinah's people track those two men down and ask why, the answer is simple and devastating. After everything they've seen, this killer felt like the only person actually fighting for people like them. It's not an isolated sentiment either. There's a whole subplot involving a podcaster named Brittany Brandon. In the mainstream DC universe, she's connected to Green Arrow as the hero Moonbow. But here, she's just a woman with a show, trying to process what's happening to her city in real time. She goes on air and admits she's exhausted. Exhausted watching obscenely rich people win over and over. Exhausted feeling like the system only works for the people who already have everything, one medical emergency away from being ruined herself. And then she says the line that really defines this whole arc. She's not rooting for a killer, but she understands why so many people are. She just wishes someone would show her a better answer, because right now, nobody has one. That's the real hook of Absolute Green Arrow. It's not just who's under the hood. It's a story asking what happens to a society when violence starts looking like the only form of justice left available, and whether people cheering for a murderer says more about the murderer or about everything he's murdering people over. Back on the investigation side, Dinah keeps working the suspect list, and it eventually leads her straight to Roy Harper. In the mainstream DC universe, Quinn's former sidekick, Speedy. Here, he's a self-made millionaire who built a fortune off a prescription drug price comparison app. He's near the top of Dinah's list for a simple reason. He has a documented history with Oliver Quinn. He owns a bow, and security footage catches him digging up Quinn's grave in the middle of the night. She confronts him directly, gun, or rather, arrow, drawn, demanding an explanation. And his answer isn't what she expects. He wasn't digging up the grave out of some twisted trophy hunt. He was trying to prove it was empty, because as far as he's concerned, Oliver Quinn is actually not dead. That single line changes the entire shape of the investigation. And when Dinah pushes further, Harper's story comes tumbling out. In the weeks before Quinn's death, Harper had been quietly doing business with Hector Hammond, one of the shadow players who effectively runs the city from behind the scenes, with police and politicians alike on his payroll. Harper insists everyone does business with Hammond eventually, because the man is simply everywhere. But it was Harper's carelessness cleaning up digital records linking him to Oliver a little too late that tipped Hammond off to exactly where Oliver was. Dinah puts the implications immediately. Harper sold Oliver out. Not on purpose, not maliciously, but the result is the same. And when she says it out loud, Harper doesn't deny it. He just falls apart, admitting his business was struggling, that he had an ex-wife and alimony payments eating him alive, that being a millionaire on paper doesn't mean having a single dollar of breathing room once the mortgage on a penthouse is due. It's a strangely human moment buried inside a murder mystery, a portrait of wealth as a trap just as much as a privilege. From there, Harper opens up about his actual friendship with Oliver, how the two of them met at a private archery range years ago, back when they were both just starting to make real money. He talks about how Oliver leaned all the way into his Green Arrow persona even before any of this began, how impressed Oliver was that Harper had made his money younger, even though Harper never had Oliver's talent for actually growing wealth. There's real affection in the memory, and there's real guilt too, because Harper genuinely believes that if he had stayed closer to Oliver instead of drifting away, none of this might have happened. The two of them also talk about the poison that comes with sudden wealth, how you tell yourself you'll stay grounded and loyal, and then the world around you changes anyway. Friends turn into leeches, others get quietly resentful. Complain and people remind you how rich you are. Succeed and you're told to stop showing off. It's framed as a kind of gilded cage, and it's part of why the ultra-wealthy in this world cluster together. They're the only people who don't punish each other for having money. But none of that backstory changes the fact that Harper's information ended up costing Oliver his life. And Harper knows something nobody else does, because he spent the last few months hiding, quietly digging into exactly what Hector Hammond has been building, and he knows how to get there.